up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G, the Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. Another Monday has dawned upon us, and here we are with another Midday Monologue. And you know, every day of the week there's going to be a new video with a new subject. Hopefully that's one of the things that you enjoy about this channel. I know it's one of the things I enjoy about making it. And thank you everyone that's been subscribing to Two Gun Pixie. We got another couple of new subscribers. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're finding some things here informative and maybe a little entertaining. Well, a few weeks back, I did a video on Gen X gaming. Basically talking about board games that are out now or about to come out in the market now that tap into the life of young Gen Xers. People that were born and, had their childhood through the early 70s and the 80s. There are certain things that we remember. There are things that we still fondly hold close to our hearts. And what I was doing, actually while I was doing the video, I was already thinking about so many other options that there could be, but they aren't. So why not get that out of my head, and we'll talk about some possible new games for Gen Xers. I'll see you down the table. Alright, I hope that you had a chance to see the other video, the first Gen X board game video I did. The link I'll make sure I put down in the description in case you missed that. But so in that video I talked about, as I said, current games that are on the market that tap into the whole Gen X pop culture phenomenon. I think that's a good way of putting it. And they have so many options. I mean, this can be a huge category in and of itself. Because the Gen Xers like me are in an age now, most of us, where we're either retired or getting ready to retire. We have some extra money. Any kids we have had have probably, hopefully, fled the nest by now. So why not spend a couple of bucks on things that happen to our childhood and make us happy? Yeah, there's so many options here. Please, someone hired me to be part of your board game company's think tank division here, okay? I might not be able to design a game, but I'll tell you some great ideas that I'll probably sell. In fact, here are 3 ideas completely, almost completely free. I mean, if someone out there designs a game based on one of these ideas, send me a few free copies. I'll be happy. That's it, Of course, any deluxe version that you have of it, the top level. If you send like 3, let's say. That sounds good. All right, so many ideas. I could probably do an entire series on just dropping 2 or 3 new ideas every month here. But let's start with 3. 3 things that I not only love, but just thinking about it, right now, just thinking about it, makes me happy and giddy. So, let's start with the man himself, David Hasselhoff. And of course, I'm talking about a Knight Rider board game. And I see this as a 4-player game. And you can choose Michael Knight, Devin, Bonnie, RC3, what was his name? Reginald Cunningham? No, not Cunningham. RC3, Reginald. Later in the season, he was another mechanic. If you didn't see the show all the way to season 4, maybe you came in season 3. Honestly, can't remember that there. But right there, you have enough characters to choose from to have a 4-player game. That, the funny thing is, I'm seeing this a little bit like Dark Tower. I mean, come on, the show is about a car that's a computer that's an action hero, right? So the best way to simulate, I think, the Knights Industry 2000 kit would be to have an actual electronic game piece at the center. And what this would do was it would give out missions, like it would have some sort of, okay, yeah, you could do an app later that would adapt and update continuously or semi-continuously, however that works. But the game itself, the kit dashboard, come on, it has to look like the dashboard, and not with the solid red, but with the audio lines, yeah. And on the front side of it, zoom. It's got to have the zoom, definitely. Maybe that could actually speed up with danger or something, or as you're getting close to a goal, or use it as a timer. Maybe there could be several reasons to have it speed up depending on what the mission is that you are on. And that's the other thing Kit's going to be doing, is giving you out your missions, telling you what's going on, who you have to capture, and the basic information. But at the same time, Kit's also acting sort of like a dungeon master for the game itself, to help randomize certain encounters and events that can come up and trip you up or end up helping you. I also wanted to have a hidden movement aspect. Now this is really great with having a computer, having Kit, an electronic kit running it, because it will be able to keep track of exactly the movements of the character that you're trying to capture. And maybe not every game run in it, every scenario has to have or be a hidden movement game, but it should be incorporated at least in some of the at least dozen or 15 scenarios I think that the base game of this would have to come with, to really feel like a good chunk of the show. And yeah, and these are going to be based on the episodes from the show. And that's going to bring the whole thing back home to you. You're going to feel the memories of these episodes while literally playing through them. Now, there would be, like, some board games have different stances, things that you can do if you're in a battle stance or in a relaxed stance. And I think this can be sort of simulated a little bit while having its own twist on this mechanic, where instead of different stances, it's whether you are in Kit or outside of Kit would determine the kind of actions and the things that you can do. Now, come on, tell me this doesn't sound fun. But the two others I was thinking of is A-Team. Come on, bam, ba bam, 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 bam. If you were a kid or an early teen in the '80s, that's all you had to hear, and you felt it pumping up, bam, ba bam, yeah. These innocent soldiers, and they escaped, and now they're on their own. And if you have a problem and you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team. So, of course, a 1 to 4 player game. Actually, it is a 4-character game, regardless of how many players, 1 to 4, that you have. Now, just to jump ahead of myself a little bit, I see some mini expansions for this, for the later extra team members during the last season of the show when it got a little bit bad. So I definitely see there being a, what was his name? Hunt Stockwell, who they ended up working for. And then there was Frankie Dishpan Muniz, right? Yeah. And he was a special effects wizard. He wasn't a military guy at all. Stockwell Hunt put him on the team. So you can have those as extras. Maybe if this is a Kickstarter game, those would be Kickstarter exclusives, extras or something. And if not, maybe expansions for it. But this is definitely a strategy game. This is a miniature-based strategy game. And I also see like 3D environment kind of stuff like the Firefly board game has. You know, maybe 2 double-sided boards. No, you know what? 1 double-sided board. Some tiles that can be used in some scenarios completely as the board, or it can change the board up. And then, yeah, with these 3D environment pieces and these buildings to make up the board. But otherwise, I can't think of anything special or different to add to this. Well, you know what I said before? And what I said before about kit, and if you're in the car, you're not in the car, being sort of like a stance that some of these games have, maybe bring that in for this also. You know, definitely more of a casual and a combat stance. Yeah, throw that into this. That works well. I've played a few tactical board games that have that, and I enjoy that mechanic. So why don't we throw that in too? And I think we got the making of a pretty darn good A-Team game. And again, just as I said with Knight Rider, I'm losing track of my Gen X pop culture here. But just as I was saying, what would make this even more perfect is if the missions are based on the TV show. And if this is the kind of game that you wanted to produce, you know, go full in with, then what was it? 4 seasons, right? So do each box set or standalone box set, or that wouldn't work. Each expansion would be another season. Like the first expansion would be season 2 expansion, and we would have more of the cards and encounters from those storylines, and maybe some more miniatures. And hey, again, thinking of exclusives and add-ons and stretch goal things for a Kickstarter, I'll say it, since it goes in with this whole super pop culture 80 things anyway. How about giving one of the guest stars his own figure, his own miniature? And of course, I'm talking about Mr. T's buddy, Hulk Hogan. But overall, I think we have the making and the concept for a really fun A-Team style game. Now, for this last one, I'm going to go out on a limb here and change up what you may be expecting. I've talked about possible game designs in the past, but this is a little bit different. I've never had this as an idea before. So let's start with what the concept is from. What's the IP? 80s, right? Dragon's Lair. One of the most game-changing arcade games that ever hit the 80s. No matter how limited it is, in both hindsight and at the time too, in its gameplay, it was game-changing. Maybe not the sequel so much. And definitely Space Ace wasn't game-changing, but it was better than Dragon's Lair 2. And hey, it also got its own cartoon show. But look, this is what I mean by something different. I've never described the concept of a possibility for a game like this before. What about one of those book games? One of those kind of spiral-bound flip book games. Not flip book like, and you make the little figure in the corner dance. You know what I'm talking about. Those are fun. No, a flip book, I guess that's what it's called. I've seen a few of them on the market. I haven't gotten a chance to own one or play one yet, but where the each page on the book, as you open it up, is like a different board environment that you're going through. And I think that this would be a perfect way to simulate all the different board changes that happened during the course of Dragon's Lair. And this way, it's all in a spiral-bound book. But you know, maybe they're put in there, the pages are put in there in a way that you can take them out and rearrange them to change things up. But because you don't need, it's not like D&D where you're going to need to set up a 15-foot by 20-foot room and populate where everything is and how you're going to move, where you're going to move, what's the tactics going to be. Remember, this is Dragon's Lair. All you have to do is see what it is, and then you have to encounter the environment itself, that scene, or in this case, that page. And the best way, I think, if this is how it's being done, is to use cards. Use cards. So as soon as you have to do something, you have to flip out a card. You don't have time. You don't have to look through them. What am I going to do? You just take one. You got to flip it down really fast. And the other player, oh, I forgot to mention, I see this as a two-player game, a head-to-head 1v1 style game. And the other player who's playing the video game, he or she is playing a card for that environment. So first of all, the player playing Dirk, our hero, is going to have to play one of the right cards to begin with, and also going to have to play, maybe, depending on what the action is and what the card is, maybe that player needs to play the card before the game player, the AI player, the dragon player, maybe afterwards. That's another reason why these things have to be done fast. Now, I'm not a big fan of speed games at all, but they are kind of popular, and for some reason I kind of feel like that fits for this. So that's why, even though I'm not a fan of it, I'm putting it out there. And here, for one other thing I want to add to this, maybe something else off the top of my head though, but one thing I think about adding to this is a possible change-up, an optional change-up. So you're playing the game either as Dirk, what was he, Dirk the Daring? Was it just Dirk? Wow, I can't even remember. So you either play as Dirk, trying to save Princess Daphne, or you play as Princess Daphne, trying to save Dirk. Why not? That sounds fun. And as far as the other games in what is known as the Dragon's Lair trilogy, Space Ace and Dragon's Lair 2, they can very easily be expansions. Maybe Space Ace would be a standalone expansion, while Dragon's Lair 2 would be a direct expansion to the base game Dragon's Lair. But hey, at least you have built-in possibilities for expansions right there if the game is popular enough that you want to do that. So those are three ideas I have for games, based on Gen X pop culture that I definitely think would be fun. What do you think? What from like late 60s, 70s, and into 80s pop culture do you think would make a good board game or card game or dice game? But why? One thing. Tell me one thing that you can think about the game that you think would make that fun. What would make a Banana Splits game fun? Who remembers the Banana Splits? That's just off the top of my head. All right, well, thank you for going on this journey with me. It was very cool. Thank you for keeping me company. I'm your buddy Big John G for Two Gun Pixie Presents Legendary Gaming, and I am out of here.